Welcome back. Thank you. Look at that excitement back there. Show of hands, who has no idea who I am? Don't be shy. Before you saw my cute little face on the flyer, you had no idea. So here's the thing. We're going to get a little weird. We're going to get a little woo-woo. I'm going to give you some tough love, but we're going to wrap it into a big hug. And all I ask is just like last night when Mo said, I want you to be open and intentional. That's all I want from you. Is that cool? We're also going to do what I like to call a remix, which is I'm going to just fast forward because I've been reading the room and I feel like we need to go in a little bit of a different direction. And you as an agent, that's one of the best things that you can do is sometimes you don't always go according to script. You do your own thing because you know your people, you know how to connect, right? And even though we're talking about social media and technology today, at the end of the day, that is what this is about. Communication and connection. You're in the business of building relationships. So I'm just going to do a little fast forward. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, Gary, love you, just not right now. We'll start right here. All right, very quickly, you're going to be able to tell if I am for you or if you're for me, because we're going to start by telling you about the time that I got dumped at the Olive Garden. You know the Olive Garden, when you're here, your family? I got broken up with at the Olive Garden, and it changed my life. Here's why. I know we have a lot of California people in here. If you've ever made that drive from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, there's this tiny little town called Victorville. There aren't a lot of options. And when you're really hungover, the Olive Garden sounds fabulous. So this is about 10 plus years ago now. And we get there. I am so excited for all of the carbs. I'm doing my little happy dance. We sit down, the server comes to the table, asks for our order, and I'll be honest with you, if you're not familiar, by the way, with the Italian fare that is the Olive Garden, it's the kind of thing where the menu has pictures, so you know it's a nice place. And I just could not decide if I wanted the fettuccine Alfredo or the full tour of Italy. And I'm hearing laughs, which means you know. So the full tour of Italy, it's the fettuccine Alfredo and the lasagna and the chicken parm. And I was like, you know what? I think I need a few more minutes. Can you come back? And she's like, sure, no problem. She drops off the signature garlic breadsticks and says, I'll be right back. I look across the table at my then boyfriend and he gives me a look. And this is where the story takes a turn. Because the look that he gave me let me know that I was in trouble, that I had done something wrong. And I kid you not when I tell you that this grown-ass man stood up from the table, slammed his hands on the table, threw the breadsticks across the restaurant and said, I'm done with you, and stormed out to the car. I'm not making this up, people. I wish I could tell you that I laughed and I thought that it was ridiculous and I gave him the bird and I said, good riddance. I wish I could tell you that I went back to the car and said, fuck off, take me home, give me my things, I'm done. But I didn't. I wish I could tell you that when we got back to LA that I knew that I was done, but I didn't. I continued to tolerate that relationship and let him tell me what I could eat and who I could hang out with and where I was going and all of those different things manipulating me. And I apologized to him in that moment for what I had done to cause him so much anger. I apologized to him for who I was. And I promised and worked so hard to get his trust and affection back that he continued to hold as a carrot as he had that control over me. And if you're listening to this story wondering, Giselle, how in the fuck do you end up in a situation like that? But the reality is that you don't sign up for something like that. You don't sign up for someone to treat you that way. What happens is, have you guys ever heard the parable of the boiling frog? So if you're not familiar, they say that if you put a frog in boiling water, the frog will jump out. But if you put a frog in lukewarm water and slowly raise it degree by degree by degree, the frog won't notice until it's too late. And for you, maybe you are lucky enough that you have never been in a very dysfunctional romantic relationship, but maybe you have been, or maybe you are in that situation where you are looking around at your world and you're like, how the fuck did I get here? Whether it was something of your choosing or something that you didn't even realize was changing before your eyes, and all of a sudden you don't even recognize yourself or even recognize who you are as a professional. You don't even recognize your relationship because all of a sudden your world has completely crashed down and you feel so stuck. And maybe that's not you on a personal level, but I can tell by the names of all the different sessions that are going on today and tomorrow that for some of you, that's how you feel in your market right now. Where you're like, hold on a second, last year was so good and the year before that was even better. Like, how much longer is this going to be happening? But friends, I'm here to tell you that in these moments where you feel like everything is falling apart, this is where you can decide who the fuck you are. This is where you get to show your people who you really are. This is where, if you want, you can keep on hiding. If you want, you can keep on sitting back and letting somebody else raise that temperature degree by degree by degree. But if you take nothing else from this conversation, what I want you to know is that you are in full control of who you are and who you want to be. And you are not a frog. You are the person who gets to raise that temperature up or down however you want. And if you want to bring the heat, that is fully up to you. And you'll be wondering, but Giselle, what does it have to do with personal branding and social media? Did we really just go to church for a second? Yeah, we did. Because friends, right now, we are sick of perfection. We are sick of just seeing the filtered universe. And if we're watching the other real estate reality shows that make your world look easy, or even the courts have no idea what it is that you actually do. And if you're worth your commission, you need to give me something more. And you don't have to share your deepest, darkest secrets or your insecurity or your worst story ever, but I need you to show me that grit. I need you to show me who it is that you are, why it is that you are that way, and why I should hire you over everything else. Because cool if you have all of the certifications and education and all the degree and the numbers and the top ranking and whatever. But what's going to make you stand out ahead of the ChatGPTs of the world, ahead of the deep fakes and all of these things? We're in this world, we wonder what is real and what is not, and can I trust you at the end of the day? And you are doing yourself and your clients a disservice if all you are doing are showing the rainbows and butterflies, and even if all you're showing is just real estate. Because yes, I want you to show the real estate. And also, you are doing yourself a disservice and selling yourself short if you're only going to be the go-to resource for real estate. Really? You want to be the go-to resource in Austin, Texas for real estate? You really think every single time I drive by a house, I'm going to think of you? Every single time I see a sold sign, I'm going to think of you? Or you start letting people in. You start connecting with them before they even meet you, where I know now that anytime you drive by an Olive Garden, you're going to think of me. They don't have those just any place. You're going to think of how you feel right now. You're going to think of how maybe your life changed right now because I reminded you, if you're a human, you felt something. Maybe I made you laugh. Maybe I made you cry. But in the world that we're in, where we're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because we are numb or to be numb, I need you to get me to feel something, which is terrifying as humans. Because I've worked with people and I've worked with corporate brands, and I got to tell you, the hardest brands to humanize are humans. But you as a brokerage have something that I've worked with brokerages from all over the world, and you have something that no other brokerage has. And you know what that is? Culture. Culture is not something that you do. Culture is who you are. Real estate is something that you happen to do, but it's not who you are. You're a human who happens to sell or hopefully love some aspect of real estate. And I loved how last year our friend Matt Leonetti talked about how I know you didn't get into this business because you love architecture. Some of you maybe. But I want to know what it is that makes you tick. How can I connect with you? And here's what I think is also so fascinating about even this story is I stayed in this really toxic relationship for months and months and months and months. But when I knew I was done, all it took was a decision. All it took was the belief knowing that I deserved more, that something was wrong and I deserved better. And a lot of you are telling yourself this story on repeat of, oh, but what if people think this about me? And oh, what if, that's all you. What if they actually connect with you? What if they like you? What if they love you? What if you inspire them to take action beyond just real estate? Because also think about it this way. If you do your job right, the next time that you work with your client, it's going to be years. If you do it right, You're not going to see them again for years. So how can you stay top of mind with them and continue to get them to take actions and with you beyond just real estate? One of the reasons why I decided to go with that story today ahead of any other one is years after I got out of that relationship, I had this pull on my heart like, I feel like someone needs to hear this. If you ever have that pull on your heart, I don't care if it is about your life story or if it is about a new order at Starbucks. If you ever have that pull on your heart, like I think someone needs to hear this, lean into that. Listen to that. And so I pulled out my phone and I got behind my kitchen table and I shared that story and how I got out and how I overcame it and how this person who told me and reminded me every single day that I would never be successful, and especially without him, that yes, there is light on the other side. And I shared it again years later after that and in podcast interviews and different episodes. And what's so wild is that video has never been my most viral, momentous moment. And yet, a couple of weeks ago, one of you sent me a message on LinkedIn and said, Giselle, I just want to let you know that I saw your video about the Olive Garden and I was in a really similar situation. And it's because of you that I got out and I got my real estate license. And now I'm with the agency and I cannot wait to see you in person. Can we please just give a round of applause to that person? And now this person is someone who she says, I tell everyone about you. So for all I know, yeah, maybe that was one of those dumb videos that a lot of people overlooked, but for all I know, she was someone who, she didn't tell everyone, oh, this is Giselle, she got me out of my relationship. Oh, this is Giselle, she's an amazing coach. And you want to know why she knows that I'm an amazing coach? Not because I was born with confidence, but because I know what it's like to have lost it all and to feel like I have amounted to nothing and proven that you can win it all back, because confidence is not the absence of insecurity, it is the embracement of it. And because of her, because I had this impact on her and I've made her laugh over the years, for all I know, the way that she has spoken in real life about me and to you and to her friends, it's very possible that perhaps that trickled into actual real life conversations that kept me top of mind so that I could be here today and with you. Well, Giselle, is it really that deep? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But I do know that when I go to a lot of your profiles, I mean, can you imagine if the way that I told that story online was how some of you show off your listings? If I just posted a picture of the Olive Garden and said, back on the market. Basically the same thing. Let's think about it, right? People aren't just there for the happy ending. They want to know the story. They want to connect with you. So I want to challenge you as we sit here today and even as we have this time together, that you get comfortable. And unfortunately, it's like, well, Giselle, how can you manufacture that authenticity? How can you manufacture that confidence? The crazy thing is that sometimes it is our little micro beliefs and our little micro habits that little by little by little end up showing up in every area of your life. And so I came up with a formula just for you, the Forum formula, where I'm going to challenge you, and I would encourage you, write some of these things down. Challenge yourself to some of these things. But I also want you to even take a look at some of the people who come on this stage, where I heard over lunch how touched some of you were when Rainey opened up about her story. It's living proof where it's not just me, it's other ones of you, of the ways that you can connect when you're willing to share more of that story. So first things first, I want to see your face. And the reason why I picked Golden Retriever was because, weirdly enough, I actually have a couple of clients who are pet accounts. And what I mean by that is they have like dog accounts and cat accounts. And one of the first assignments that I gave to them was, I want to see your face. And of course, the pushback is, yeah, but Giselle, I get less views when I show my face. They don't want to see my face. Okay, that's fine. But here's the thing. How can you then tell one dog account from another? How can you tell one house account from another? Which I don't know if you've noticed this, by the way. I think sometimes we overcomplicate the algorithm. If you look at your feed, any feed, have you noticed how it's not chronological anymore? What does that mean? That means that it's not showing up in order. That means that you're starting to see people who maybe they posted yesterday, maybe they posted 6 months ago, maybe they posted 5 weeks ago. Maybe you don't even follow that person and it's not an ad anymore. And that works really, really well for you where hyperlocation is important, where your content is guaranteed to be put in front of people in a really targeted way and they do not follow you. Previously, you had to pay for that. So the fastest way that you can establish familiarity is not by showing house after house after house after house. It's by showing your face. So then that way I go, wait a minute, I feel like I've seen that person before. Wait a minute, I feel like I keep seeing that person in my feed. What are they doing in my feed? Why are they in my Discover page? But more than that, I want you to put a face and name as quickly as possible to you. I want to know your face, I want to know your name, and I want to hear your voice. Because even though we're talking about getting personal, I even think about some of your property tours where you have some of the best videographers I have ever seen, and that's great. But you're also doing a disservice if you're only showing a property tour and once. You're also doing a disservice if in at least one of those property tours, I don't get to see your face and hear your voice. Why? That's basically your listing audition for your next listing. Oh, but Giselle, I don't even have a listing right now. Great, look around the room. Guarantee you somebody does. I want you to show me what it would be like if you were to show my property. Because friends, we got trust issues, okay? I don't want anyone to come into my house, let alone a stranger, let alone multiple. So if I'm really thinking about who I even want to potentially interview for my house, like for my home, I want to feel like I know you before I even meet you. So who really cares if you get fewer views? If someone could, for example, copy and paste that property tour to me and say, oh my gosh, you have to see Shane. He has apartments just like yours on the Upper West Side. You would love him. And oh my gosh, can you hear his accent? It's amazing. All of a sudden, I feel like I know him before I have even met him. And even when we're thinking about introducing ourselves to our clients, I know we just want to get on as many calls as possible, but if we could get on a FaceTime or get on a Zoom or get to that meeting so that I know you. And I didn't want to get political, but the filters are fucking you up. The filters are fucking you up. Did you know that no filter doesn't even exist, by the way? So you open up Instagram, you open up TikTok, there's already a filter built in. So then you add something that is subtle. And then this is something that maybe only the ladies are going to know. You add the Paris smoothing thing. At this point, you are now 3 filters deep. At this point, you don't even look like a human anymore. You look like one of those AI headshot things. And again, I don't care if you have wrinkles. It is totally normal to have pores. And, oh, Giselle, you have Botox, you have a spray tan, you have fake eyelashes, you have fake nails. Yeah, this comes with me. The filter does not go with you. And no, friend, it's not just the equivalent of you putting makeup on, because I know a lot of you put it over your makeup. And those are those micro moments that you're giving your power away. Because at first it started off as 1 filter, and then all of a sudden 2, and then, oh, well, just when I'm not wearing makeup, and then all of a sudden you're adding to it. And by the way, guys, if you're like, I don't use filters, must be nice. But ask yourself, where else are you adding filters into your life? Where else are you hiding? Where else are you perhaps using the headshot that you took before the pandemic? And let's be real, nobody looks like that anymore. We've all aged like 20 years. It's time. Because if, for example, you showed up to an interview, would you tell your client, you know what, I can only have you looking at me from this angle, in this lighting, and I'm going to stand behind the kitchen counter because I only want you to look at me from here up. We see all of you. And I know it doesn't sound that deep, but the studies that we have done on our clients who have dropped the filters, one little thing that takes this much time, what starts to happen is actually you start to embrace yourself. You start to actually see beauty in other people. You start to care less about what your hair looks like that day or if you felt bloated, because would you really tell a client, sorry, I can't make it today, I feel bloated? then you shouldn't be missing an opportunity to create a video where you never know who could be watching. Little things that you take your confidence back, you didn't even realize that you were hiding, and all of a sudden we start to get more comfortable being more you. The next one, opinions. This one can get a little tricky, but Giselle, I don't want anyone to disagree with me. No, you don't want anyone to think that you're dumb. I know for a lot of you, you have said people hire you because not that you tell them what they want to hear, but you tell them what they need to hear, yes or yes. Sometimes you feel like part-time therapists, yes or yes. You would be doing a disservice to your clients if you didn't give them your best opinion. And at this point, ChatGPT is starting to be able to give really awesome opinions. And we need to show our worth. So I want you to give me opinions that I could not look up or Google. And that can be really, really tricky. So here's what I want you to start doing, and on social media. Maybe it's using the poll feature. Maybe it's using the slider in stories where it disappears after 24 hours and you can breathe. But I want you to get comfortable standing for something, anything. Maybe it is that you love Vellucci's over ranch, or that you love USC over UCLA, which you better, by the way, fight on. Maybe it is that you hate fill in the blank, or you love fill in the blank. Friends, I kid you not, I have a billionaire client who is so stoic and intimidating, and this person, I always feel like I get really stiff around her and like she's going to like hit me even though she never would. And this woman, I've been trying to figure out, like, how am I gonna reach out to her in some way, shape, or form? Girlfriend reached out to me this morning and she goes, "Oh my God, did you see the Travis interview?" I go, "What?" Because she's been seeing me get excited about Taylor Swift over the last few days. Like, who isn't excited about this? Who doesn't love love? This person who I thought had like no expressions or feelings is reaching out to me because she's been following my content where I get excited about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. By the way, who else? Right? Also, notice how I'm priming you simultaneously. I'm getting you excited while we're talking about this. I'm showing you as I'm teaching you. So even if you're afraid to stand for something, what are you excited about, friends? What are you excited about? I always joke that if I was actually a real estate agent, I would have a whole series about shoe closets and Japanese toilets, because nothing gets me more excited than a heated toilet seat. So what for you when you're going through a house gets you excited? What for you when you're talking about something gets you excited? Because if you're talking about things that aren't getting you excited, you look like the constipated child in the family photo who doesn't want to be there, and like you're just supposed to show up. That's not human. What are you excited about? Show me something that you are personally so excited about. The next is relationships. Sometimes I look at your feeds and I'm like, do you even have friends? Do you do anything besides work? And look, if you're a parent, you don't want to show your kids, don't show your kids. There's private and there's personal. Private is your prerogative. You get to decide. Personal, that's how you connect with people. Look around the room at these beautiful people. By association, you are stronger. You are collaborators. You are not competitors, yes or yes. I want to see that you leave your house, that you have friends, that you have relationships, and even some of the association that you have. Show me the team that you're excited about, the country clubs that you go to, or maybe it's the places that you go shopping at. Not as if you're a tour guide, but just as if you are a natural, actual human being, excuse you. But you're a natural, actual human being, just like I'm acknowledging that, not a robot. So what are the things for you? Association. Maybe it's the places that you travel, because have you ever been told you're not selling real estate, you're selling a lifestyle? If you don't have a life, you can't really sell a lifestyle. And that's also where the creativity happens, because if all you're doing is stuck behind the computer, you don't even see the changes that are happening right outside your neighborhood, let alone your house. So what are the associations that you can get excited about that will then perhaps have your people reaching out to you to go to that football game, or to you to go to that concert, or to you to just say, oh my gosh, I saw these shoes and thought of you. Oh my gosh, Giselle, I saw Kirk Cousins got hurt. The Vikings are the worst team in the NFL to cheer for, by the way. Always potential, but are you doing okay? How's your family? Oh my God, Giselle, Christmas is coming up. Does your mom have her trees up yet? Showing the people who matter to you, showing that you are a person who actually enjoys connecting with people and building relationships. So that way they can let you know, hey, I was just thinking about you because, but also, you know what? I have a friend down the street who might have some questions. Can I connect with you? Let's all go to the pickleball court. Let's all go. That's a natural connection. This one's really, really important. The word you. I know it doesn't start with the letter U, but just let me have this. I don't want you to start a video or a caption anymore without the word you. Not you guys, not buyers and sellers, not I, me. If it is all about you, you are doing it wrong. Notice how even throughout this entire conversation, I've said you, because I want it to feel as if it is this intimate conversation that is already in progress. I want you to feel as if I'm speaking directly into your soul, although how wonderful it is where right now I'm fighting for eye contact with every single one of you. But if I make a video, every single person who watches that video, you are making eye contact with simultaneously. You can have that video be watched while you're sleeping, and all of a sudden, where you can't even manage your own schedule, you are winning time back into your day because you say, oh, I don't have time to make content, Giselle. I don't have time to make the videos. How wonderful it is when you get a message while you're sleeping, or when you wake up and you get the notification from Instagram saying, this video has been watched for 8 hours. You've now won time back into your day. Also, do you like how I'm just totally eliminating so many of the excuses that you keep making, not even realizing, oh, wait, I have been hiding this whole time. So who are you talking to? Who do you want to serve? I'm not of the mindset of one avatar and they look like this. No, who are the people who you want to serve? Maybe it is your referral partners. Maybe it is people who want to sell homes. By the way, eliminate the word buyer and seller from your vocabulary. That sounds so impersonal. And also to someone who doesn't even know who you are, buyer and seller of what? Inventory? Friends, for the longest time before I started working with real estate humans, I thought inventory had to do with the supply of building. Like, you want to build a new house, there's low inventory. Oh gosh, it's going to take forever for you to deliver the wood to my house. I had no idea. If you really knew your audience, you would know that they probably have no idea what's happening in the courts right now. They had no idea how you were even getting commission in the first place, and or how much. If you really knew your person, then you would talk to them as if you would and in a meeting so that they don't feel dumb. Answer questions before they even ask it. Who are you talking to? Unfortunately, a lot of you get trapped in this place of comparison where you're not making content for your potential client, you're making it for each other. You're making it to try to prove a point. You're making it because you hope that person who you have a chip in your shoulder about sees that video and sees how good you're doing. But who do you really want to see the video? And that's when it does not matter if that video gets 10 views or 100. Could 10 new clients make a difference in your career right now? 10 new quality clients? I think so. So figure out who is your you. Who are you making your content for? And then last but not least, and this kind of goes both ways, memories. So for those of you who are like, I don't have time to make the content, great, go back in your camera roll. Maybe reach out to your family. Go back in your memories. Not just because I want to see the throwbacks, and like who doesn't love a good throwback and a bad haircut, but I also want you to remind yourself of where you came from. We're getting to the end of the year, and even if you just look back on this year and how far you've come, and maybe you had the best year ever, maybe you had the worst year ever. If it was the worst, I want you to go back in your memories and decide, what do I want to take with me going forward? If it was the best, what do I want to take with me going forward? But even go back 5, 10, 15, 20 years, not just so that you can show other people how adorable you were, but remind yourself who the fuck you are, where you came from, what used to make you happy, what are maybe some of the hobbies that you used to love that you don't do anymore? When was the last time that you actually hung out with that friend or called that person? And then I also want to look at it from the side of, I want you to make memories and show us that. Because a lot of times when we're in the scarcity mindset, we believe that we have to earn that time. We have to earn that vacation. But then my question to you is, who are you doing this for? Who are you doing all of this for? Because if you were doing it to build a better life for yourself or your parents or your kids or your family, or to have more flexibility or to be able to go enjoy that vacation, what are you waiting for? Because you keep moving the goalpost further and further and further and further, that now you're not even present at all. And this is my dad, by the way. Love him, adore him. He was supposed to be here. He's totally fine. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. So instead, I'm going to share another father-daughter story just as an example because it's pulling on my heart. So I had a client who, in the pandemic, his marriage did not survive. And all of a sudden, he became a single dad. And he was freaking out, just trying to figure out how in the world he would be able to juggle running a real estate business and being a girl dad. And he could not give up the thought of seeing his daughter every single day. And so they had the arrangement of, okay, I'm going to have her every day, 3 to 6, pick her up from school, take her to dinner, drop her off, and I'm going to have her on Saturdays. But how in the world, Giselle, am I going to do this? I want her to be so proud of me. I want to do this for her. Okay, if you want to do this for her, and I want you to think about this for you, who are you doing this for? Maybe you're in that season of doing it for yourself, and you got to prove it to yourself. And that's totally okay, by the way. But maybe you're in that season where you're doing it for somebody else. Maybe you have a new baby, or maybe your parents are struggling, or whatever it is. You get to decide who that person is. So I said, okay, if you're doing this for your daughter, what would your business look like if you were prioritizing your daughter? And he joked. He was like, well, I probably wouldn't answer my phone from 3 to 6 and I wouldn't work on Saturdays. And I go, okay, what would that look like? He's like, what? What would it look like if you decided that you were not going to answer your phone from 3 to 6 and you weren't going to work on Saturdays? Well, I guess I would work, wake up 2 hours early and maybe an hour at night, and maybe I could hire someone or find someone to do showings for me on Saturday. Okay, cool. So what would that take? What would that look like? We make the mistake of doing things backwards, or we're trying to go somewhere. But a lot of times when we have that light at the end of the tunnel, or we have that goal, we get so focused on that goal, we don't even realize what we have lost of ourselves in the process. And then all of a sudden, that thing that we wanted so badly doesn't mean so much anymore. Doesn't feel very good. That commission check, that's great, but why do I still feel like shit afterwards? And so for him, I said, well, what is that going to look like? And so here's what ended up happening. This person who wasn't a morning person all of a sudden became a morning person. He stopped going to the lunches that would take forever and the happy hours, and he ended up stopping drinking because he realized that he had to be fully present for car pickup. He also let his clients know, hey, unless we're in the middle of a transaction, my phone's going to be on Do Not Disturb from 3 to 6. But I promise if you need me, I will be there. If not, I will call you right at 6. He ended up creating a team, something that previously he didn't think that he had the capacity to do, because we as business owners get so stubborn thinking that we have to do everything and all by ourselves, not realizing how selfish that actually is. All of a sudden, he decided to start working out in the morning because he was so much more productive in those 2 hours that he had some time on his hands. He lost weight. He joined a running club. He started to make new dad friends, where all of a sudden he was attracting clients from a totally different circle that he'd even realized existed, and one that actually had family values, where when he would say, hey, you know what, my phone's on Do Not Disturb from 3 to 6, they would go, huh, that's a really good idea. Maybe I should do that. And where he previously used to constantly attract the clients who sucked and would suck every single penny out of him, he had clients who actually valued his time and appreciated what he did. And he started talking about it and sharing that on social media and attracting even more of that. And all it took was a mindset shift. And for him, losing everything to realize what was most important, taking that opportunity to rebuild. But friends, if you take nothing else from this conversation, what I want you to realize is that when it comes to social media, when it comes to personal brand, it means absolutely nothing if you don't know who you are, who you want to serve, and who you're doing it for. Who are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? And I want you to look at that phone not as an enemy, not as something that you want to throw out the window, but something that you look forward to, maybe even accountability. And so the last thing that we're going to do together today, I want to have you pull out your phones. Pull out your phones. Don't worry, you're not going to do anything embarrassing. You're not going to post anything, I promise. This is a safe place for you. Pull out your phones. I'm going to do it too. Pull out your phones, and I want you to open up your camera app. And I want you to put it in selfie mode. I promise you're not posting anything. I promise you're not posting anything. Are we able to bring up the house lights at all, by the way? I know, not that the house lights are any better. You're like, I like this lighting. Thank you. All right. So put this in selfie mode. I want to see your cute faces. Put it in video mode. Oh, please. You're going to hit record, and you're going to repeat after me. Hi. It's been a while since I checked in. This is what you look like. This is what you sound like. And thank goodness for that. Because nobody looks like you. Nobody sounds like you. Nobody takes care of your people like you do. This is your accountability. It's time to stop playing small. It's time to stop making excuses. It's time to start picking up the pieces to show the world who you really are. The world needs you. And by the way, I'm so proud of you. No, really, I'm so proud of you. If that felt uncomfortable, say that again. It means you're not saying it enough to yourself. I am so proud of you. Go ahead and hit that record button and give yourselves a round of applause. Friend, you did it. You can breathe. It only gets easier from here. As a reminder, friends, it's not about having 1 million followers. It's not about going viral. It's not even necessarily about being the top producer or #1 or making bajillions of dollars. Every single one of your ideas of success is different. Therefore, your content should look different. Therefore, your faces do look different. And there is someone out there who doesn't even know that they need you. But they won't know that if you're not showing up. So this for you, I hope, is your promise that you will. Thank you.